Okay, hey everybody, this is Gladys, and we're back here for another episode of Battlechat. This is episode 3, and tonight I've got with me Cryptic Panther. Go ahead and say hello.
Hey everybody.
And, Cryptic, go ahead and give us a discussion point on what you wanted to talk about tonight.
Well, the big topic everyone wants to talk about, big discussion, the new expansion coming out. It's coming out, what, 3, 4 weeks? November 26th for premium players on PS3.
hmm
What's your opinions on the crossbow and the bolt types?
Well, I'm kind of excited for the crossbow. I think it'll be a fun new dynamic into the gameplay. I'm more excited about the maps, but I think it'll be fun to bring the crossbow back into the vanilla maps, and that'll give us a sort of adding like a new flavor into the blending pot for all the older stuff. Kind of a way to refresh it if you use that. But I think a lot of people are really hesitant on using the crossbow. I've seen a lot of negativity about it so far, but I think until we actually use it, we're not going to know for sure. And as far as the bolt types, I I don't know how well they're going to work, but I think it'll be interesting, at least to see the changes that it'll make to gameplay.
Yeah, the thing, whenever they mentioned that we'll be able to bring the crossbow back, I'm thinking, well, that adds another level. Camping Metro with a crossbow with explosive tips, that'll piss off people.
Yeah.
It's definitely gonna be a trolling weapon to a certain degree.
I think it's purely a trolley weapon. Like, I mean, like, as far as how useful it would be on the battlefield compared to an actual weapon, got to be like not even comparable, really. I mean,
well, I
you
mean,
should be able to do more damage.
true, but they say taking away a piece of equipment. It depends on what piece of equipment it takes away from each class. Like if it's the medic and takes away the defibrillators, that's a big hurt. But if it only takes away your med bag, I mean, having a motion sensor or an explosive arrow may come in more handy than having like an M320 or smoke. It gives you, a little bit different play style to play as the assault class, or the recon guy now has, explosives. It's definitely going to change it up. But I know a lot of discussions on Reddit have been a lot of people saying, oh, people are just going to be horned or horned to get the unlock, and it's going to be people bitching about OP and so I don't know. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. That's for sure. Something new. That's for sure.
Yeah,
That's
I think it'll be fun. As far as the bolts go, I think the one that I'm most interested in seeing actually work on the battlefield is definitely the sensor. Did they say it was between 10 meters or 15 meters from the radius of the bolt?
Yeah, it was either 10 or 15. I don't remember the exact number, but it definitely, if it's on an arrow, you can definitely put it in a spot that make it hard to destroy, like with tugs right in front of you. You can usually blow it up, or even a MAV. You can lock onto a MAV with a javelin or guided tank shell. But depends on if you can lock onto these with lock-on weapons and destroy them if they're stuck in a ceiling or stuck in a crevice where you can't shoot, or stick a grenade or something. Kind of be interesting.
Oh yeah, well I actually hadn't even thought about the applications of that. I mean, you could hide them very well, and they're probably going to be hard to see unless they're flashing like with a light or something. I don't know, but I figured they would be more used for like a defensive role. Like I don't see, because it's such a small radius for the sensor. I'm imagining it would be used primarily just to cover choke points to make sure no one's coming behind you.
Yeah, that and MCOMs, covering
Yeah.
MCOMs with them, I do believe. To keep on going with the expansion, the new vehicles, the different armored on the Vodnik style. I know there's not a lot of information on them. There's been a few people comment on Reddit about them, but um, they're not going to be, I don't think, brought back to the vanilla maps. They're only going to be on the expansion. What do you think of those?
Well, as far as I know, and again, like you said, little information has been released on them, but I don't think they're going to be able to be brought back into the vanilla maps, and that'll work similarly to how the tank destroyers and
Yeah.
the mobile artillery works for the armored kill pack. I'm really almost disinterested in them, honestly, because I feel like it's mostly just like an aesthetic change. I don't think the play style of when you're driving or when you're a passenger in the Vodnik or or one of the other vehicles. I don't think that that's really going to change for you. It may add a little bit of armor, or it may look different, but I think it's mostly just an aesthetic change, and it's really just kind of like a fluff, like just another thing they could add into the expansion to make it feel new. You know?
True enough. And with the new maps, they seem more urban type warfare. Is that more along your style, or do you still, like some of the old diehard Battlefielders who basically, want all big maps, or, Caspian Operation Firestorm size maps?
Well, I think that it depends on how they do it, because I was a huge fan of the original vanilla maps, and especially like the open, bigger ones like Caspian Border or Operation Firestorm, like the bigger, more open maps. So it gave us more options, and I really liked that. And then when they announced that Close Quarters was going to be the first pack, I was really hesitant because I felt like that was much more of like Call of Duty's game style, smaller maps, tighter quarters, and corners everywhere. But they ended up doing it really well. I was really, really satisfied with the Close Quarters pack. So they really surprised me with how well Battlefield would play into a different type of map style that I wasn't prepared for. So I'm gonna withhold judgment until until it's actually released and I can get some playtime into it. But so far, I'm pretty excited for it. The only thing that's kind of holding me back is that it seems kind of similar to the Back to Karkan pack, which I was not a fan of. I think just the maps were not set up as well as they could have been. It's something about them. I don't really know. I can't pinpoint exactly what it is, but I just wasn't a huge fan of the Back to Karkan maps. But I'm pretty excited for this pack.
Yeah,
so I'm looking forward to it.
The urban warfare kind of lead more a little towards like we'll say St. Crossing, Grand Bazaar style, maybe a little bit bigger than those, I guess. But those are maps that I know are favorites among like a lot of the people I play with on a regular basis.
Yep.
So
yeah,
definitely.
I don't know. Grand Bazaar is probably my favorite map. I think that it's just well balanced because I think it's pretty symmetrical with either team. You're pretty much going to be following the same tracks. So as a map, it's well balanced, and I think it's just about the same thing for Stein Crossing, other than maybe the bridges on one side or just the one spawn area on the other. I think the spawns are a little bit unbalanced. But as far as the objectives go, it's pretty well balanced. So hopefully they can have a good map design to where they balance it out like that.
Yeah, I agree. Hope they don't let us down.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go to the next point. I know this has been a hot topic since that patch that came out with Armored Kill. Stingers and Iglas. Do you think they're OP?
I don't think that they're OP. I think that the choppers have become much more, much less efficient than they were pre-patch. I think that the opportunity for success has now been lowered since they removed the gunner flares for the attack chopper, and they changed the oh my god, too many beers. The laser designator. I can do this. I know I can do this. Since they changed that to the passenger seat for the C11s and stuff.
Yeah, I definitely agree in that. Nothing worse than jumping in the Little Bird or C11 and having no one in the passenger seat and you got laser guided missiles on you. They're useless.
Yeah. I think it's a huge handicap, and it also further broadens in the buffer zone between new players who are trying to learn how to use these vehicles and the expert players who can use them no matter what. Those are the players that are going to be able to adapt, but it lessens the area of opportunity for new players to get better because it makes it that much more difficult.
Definitely. Well, my biggest complaint with, I don't know if it's ECM. I know some people complain about ECM doesn't work as well. I don't think it does. I know just the other day I was playing on Caspian Border and I flew off the Russian side, heading towards the American spawn and trying to get their helicopter, and I got locked on. So I'm figuring it's either another jet or something. So I pop ECM and I'm flying over the American base like towards the out of bounds. And my lock-on never broke at all. And I'm like flying just above the tree line. And all of a sudden I get hammered and killed by an Igla. And the guy was almost at A flag. I'm like, wow, that is some damn distance on an Igla. And I'm like, that's just crazy. And I don't use them very often. I mean, until you get a couple helis that are really bothering you have to take them down. But I know I've hit a Z11 one time after he ECM'd. My lock never broke, and I was able to take him out. And it happened to be a buddy of mine playing the other team, and he messaged me like, "How did you kill me with the eagle after I ECM'd?" I'm like, "I have no idea." So I don't know if it's like ECMs, yes, if you don't time it right, or for some reason I'm just finding the iglos and stingers. To me, I find them because the below radar doesn't really work against them.
No,
So
they practically did away with below radar, which was, to me, like the thing I was most upset about, because it's instinct for me now flying, and I mostly pilot jets. If I'm doing a chopper, I'm not that well of a pilot trying to fly a chopper, but I can gun fairly well, and I've got a few guys that I play with that are fantastic pilots. So if I get in with them, it's usually gunning. But like with the jets, it's instinct for me. If I get a lock, to either try to do a loop and get out of the lock, or get behind another building, or go below radar. And now it just seems below radar is totally useless. Like it doesn't seem ever like it's a good option anymore.
yeah, no, I've been lucky enough to dodge some locks, and it's kind of a cool feeling, when you get locked on and you thrust drop and you do a hard bank, and you hear the double beep and you think, oh crap, I'm gonna get hit, and all of a sudden it goes by the tail of your jet and blows up beside you. It's a pretty cool feeling. But
Hell
I tell
yeah.
you, it's also pretty bad too when you pop that ECM and you get fucking rammed, and boom, there you go. You see the guy running on the beach, he's got a grin on his face. He just killed you with a stinger from like 4 miles away. It's like, son of a bitch,
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing. I mean, like, I know they needed a buff. They took too long to lock on before, and you stand there forever hoping to get a lock on, and it became a challenge. And I know they have to improve, but I don't know if it's where the problem lies with them. But I tell you, I find they're OP sometimes. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's my skill level.
Well, I think it was just too much at once. I think that DICE did broad strokes as far as anti-air went. Instead of just kind of fine-tuning like we've seen them do with the weapon balancing, they do, a little bit here, a little bit there for each weapon. They tweak a lot of things. And then with anti-air, it seemed to almost come out of nowhere, to where they disabled the flares for the chopper gunner. They did the flares, they did below radar, and they did the LASIK designator for the passenger on the scout helicopters. They did all 3 of those, and those are huge changes, each one of those.
Definitely.
But 2 of those go towards the attack choppers instead of the scout helicopters. Well, I guess below radar as well goes to scout, but
Yeah.
it's just like those are huge changes, and before we could see how any one of those would affect the gameplay and how it would affect the balancing, we got all 3 of them.
Exactly.
I think it was just too much at once.
I agree. So we'll move along to the next one. In-game ads. I know this was talked about back quite a few years ago. Battlefield 2142, I do believe. There was talk of in-game ads. I'm not talking about, halfway through, a multiplayer, the thing stops and a stupid ad rolls across the screen. But I'm talking, like, how you get your loading screen for your map and you're sitting there watching it. What would you feel of, Mountain Dew, or, a sponsor, or have, like, in-game, like, billboards being actual products instead of, made up ones like Dice soap, or,
Dice soap.
Dice. You see the pictures online. People taking pictures of the product where Dice is spelled backwards, or I know there's boxes on Gulf of Oman. There's like Dice shipping on the side or whatever it says. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
What would you feel like? And I mean, or vehicles being like actual makes and models. Like I know like the Abrams, and like those are actual vehicles and stuff like that. But they don't call the Hummer the Hummer. They don't call. They're called actual their military names, which I know probably require some licensing. But what would if there was a Ford pickup truck, or that type of thing, and what the sponsorship or the ads would do would be lessen the price of DLC, or
well, it depends on the effect. Okay, like if it doesn't give us a better quality product, I would if someone were to approach me and say, as a game maker, like, hey, we're thinking of putting some ads in your game, how would you feel about that? I would say, okay, well, how would it benefit my game? Like, what are the positives to doing that? Obviously, DICE is going to get more money, or EA, rather, is going to get more money from putting ads into their games, but as a player, how is it going to affect us? I mean, what do we get out of it? I wouldn't see any benefit to the player.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like if they, if instead of charging for DLC, if they use sponsorships to, for say, in other words, the whole map pack is sponsored by Coca-Cola. But I mean, the only thing is, like, they have, in the loading screen would be their logo, or their logo would be on the building in the map, or that type of stuff. Like, I know it was talked about quite a few years ago, and I mean, anyone feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I know there was talk of using billboards in certain games to basically sell ad space on online games.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I don't remember which game, or games rather, that it was talked about during, but I remember there was some controversy about billboards and actual ads being placed in video games. Okay, so I feel like now I have a more of an understanding of what you're trying to say.
Right.
I think that as a business, it would be a smart move for EA or any other game company to do, and I think it would also help the industry, the games industry. If we get outside sources, for instance, just say hypothetically Coca-Cola wanted to sponsor, a map pack for Battlefield or for Call of Duty or something like that. That's more money being poured into the game industry, which helps us as gamers. The more money that they have for development and for product testing, or maybe the extra money they get from that could lead to development on a new game, or any number of things. It's pouring more money into the makers of the game's pockets. So if they can do more with that, I would be all for it. However, I wouldn't want to see anything actually in-game. As far as loading screens go, that's fine. That's usually when I go and take a piss or I get another beer or whatever. So I don't care.
That's true. That's true.
So loading screens, I don't really care. But if it's just like in your face, like, oh, you've killed a guy, great job, from the makers of Pepsi, or I would be like, that's really not.
Oh yeah, I agree. I'm just saying, like, your loading screen, how it comes up and it says, in the corner it'd be the logo, or you're running down the street and you see a sign on the side of the building, it actually is an actual company name. I don't know. I mean, if it benefit, I'm not looking, for something game breaking. That's for sure. Hey, you just ranked up. Now your camo is now Coca-Cola, or it's now Milton Bradley wants to you just take a break and play a board game or some shit. I don't want nothing like that. But I'm just saying, it's what's your opinion? If it's not a game breaking, I mean, I think it'd be on a small scale, it'd be fine. But then where we go from there, who knows?
Yeah, I think once we open that door, it would probably lead to places that we wouldn't like as gamers.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think I agree. I think on a small scale, it would probably be okay. I think as far as loading screens or some in-game billboards or like a poster plastered on a wall, I think those would be okay. And we've seen that to a certain extent, and I want to reference here Medal of Honor Warfighter is using actual brands of different accessories to their weapons or the actual weapons themselves, stuff like that. They're using actual companies, they've got the sponsors to where they can do that. Okay. And I think that's cool because that adds an authenticity to it. But as far as advertising for companies outside of the realm of the game, I would have to stick with the position that on a small scale I'd be okay with it, but nothing really game changing or large.
True. Okay. Yeah, like I said, that's the thing. Like, I mean, with in-game vehicles or in-game weapons having actual real-life names or real-life actual applications, as long as it didn't basically break the game, I think hey, if it can give me some DLC down the road, sponsored by a certain company, I mean, I'm gonna agree with it. But like I said, I'm the same feel as you. Okay. So that's the big question here. The love and hate for DICE and EA. After 1 year, there are still glaring issues and glitches. Some of them are almost game-breaking, in my opinion. One of the most common ones is the audio issue.
Yep.
I'm still blown away that has not been fixed. The other, well, I guess that's one of the bigger issues. One of the biggest things, though, too, is the ceiling glitchers in Metro.
I thought they put a patch out for that months ago.
Well, they fixed this where you couldn't put your spawn beacon in the ceiling, because you know down where the MCOM is inside Metro, the first indoor Metro MCOMs. If you get on the stacks of those paper stacks or whatever, and as a recon, you can kind of stick your spawn beacon in the ceiling.
Huh.
I know they fixed that, but still, as far as I know, if you're spawning in the in Conquest, if you're spawning inside the terminal, you can still jump on your buddy's back and climb into the ceiling. I don't know if they fixed that or not. I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong. They may have fixed it. I haven't seen too many Metro glitchers, but I couldn't believe it took them that long to even attempt to fix the glitchers. And also, I'd like to see, I don't know, maybe your opinion too, but I'd like to see something done with, when you report someone on Battlelog for glitching. I'd like to, actually get a response back or, some type of notification that you're not just wasting your time by, going into Battlelog and reporting some douchebag for ceiling glitching on Metro and, nothing ever being done about it.
Yeah. Well, to answer the first part, or to address it rather, as far as the love-hate for EA and DICE, I think that it's hard to tell where we should lay the blame, as far as the developer or the publisher. So, DICE is the developer of Battlefield, and then EA is the publisher. Now, the interesting thing, have you had any experience in Medal of Honor Warfighter?
No.
Okay. Well, and the only reason I'm bringing this up is because it's absolutely relevant to this conversation topic right here, is that we've got, and this is stunning to me, in Medal of Honor Warfighter, we've got almost the same audio glitches. Now, and we've got some of the same visual bugs to where we drop through the floor. Some of the spawns spawn us to where we can't move. We're totally stuck. Some of the glitches are the exact same as Battlefield 3 on release. And what this had me thinking was that maybe this is more than just the publisher or the developer, because it's made by two different companies. But Battlefield 3 was made by DICE as a developer, and EA was a publisher. And Warfighter was made by Danger Close, and EA was the publisher as well. So the only similarity they've got is EA. But the thing is that they were both running on the same engine, and we've got the same glitches. So I'm not sure that it's very fuzzy on where we should actually lay the blame. I think that updates should be more frequent. As far as Battlefield 3, we get a patch. Pretty much, it's every DLC.
Right.
Now, on release, it was maybe a little quicker, but now we're seeing it every 3 or 4 months. We'll get a patch with a new DLC, and I think that's just far too long. If you've got game-breaking stuff, especially the sound thing, the sound is what really, really gets me. When it was when Battlefield 3 was released, we had the VoIP and squad joining a game and getting split up. We had a lot of issues with that stuff, and then they finally did fix it. So that's been a much better experience in that area. But we've still, as you said, we have glaring issues that are still not being addressed or fixed by EA and DICE, and I think that updates need to be made at a quicker rate than what we're getting so far. As far as reporting somebody and getting any feedback on that, absolutely I agree. I don't think it should ever just be that you click a report button and you never hear anything back. Or there should be some type of feedback from there, even if it's like an automated message like EA and DICE are known for. Like, if you ever go on the Facebook page and you were to report a problem, they would say, thanks for the input on your experience, we're gonna give it to our developers or something. It's practically an automated message.
Yeah, I've gotten a couple of those on. I've done one of those on. I got one on Twitter one time. That's felt pretty automated. Speaking of that, I actually got a couple of responses back on Twitter from them. Rather quickly. Told them, hey, Gulf of Oman's freezing. Every second match on PS3, and they responded back pretty fast and asked me a couple of questions, and passed along to the developer type deal. But at least there was something. But
yep.
When I went on Battlelog and I was playing the game of Metro and there was these two douchebags, ceiling glitching for the whole round. I mean, the guys lost. I mean, they ended up with a few kills, maybe more than it would have got if they had played the game normally, they still end up with a loss. And I mean, not a big deal, but it just pisses me off. Is you get out of the ceiling. Like it's not fucking doing anything but pissing off everybody on your team and everybody else on the opposite team. You're not you're being a dick.
Yeah,
and it's,
exactly.
Okay, you try it once. I'll tell you. I mean, we were on an empty server one time, and I was in the ceiling running around a couple buddies of mine. It's like, it's like, hey, it's kind of cool, but I never do it in game unless I can get up there to kill the guys that are ceiling glitch, and I wouldn't use it to my advantage. I wouldn't do that. I mean, it's pointless. But like I said, it's if you got a response back from through Battlelog, then they say, okay, this player has been reported. Yada yada, be a little bit better than nothing.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
And I mean, they gotta keep record. If one guy gets constantly reported like 3 or 4 times a week for this, then they need to do something about it. Either they need to do something about the player, or they need to do something about the actual glitch that's causing it. And I mean, and like you said, patches need to be released more often. And the worst thing is too, it costs them an assload of money to put these patches out. Apparently, from what people talk about online all the time. But I'm thinking, well, if you're gonna continue to develop games and put games out, in my mind, that are not say broken, but have glaring issues, and you're not going to address them, eventually people are not going to come back.
Yeah, I mean, and you see those type of like cry foul posts all the time on Battlelog or on Facebook on their pages, to where it's like, this game is broken, I'm done, I'm never coming back, I'm never buying from EA again. Like, you see those type of posts all the time, and we of course don't know the authenticity behind that, but you can understand the sentiment, of course.
Yes, definitely. Oh, I've been there. I've been on the receiving end of how many times I've been killed by having no fucking audio, running across an open field, and I'm just dropping dead, going, why the hell am I dead? Or after you've been shot 6 times, then you hear the audio. That's the best. You've already got shot. You're already down to 4% health. Then you realize you're getting shot, so you can turn around and try to kill the guy that's shooting you, and you can't hear a fucking thing. That's wonderful. That makes me happy. If I could have, if I could have half of those deaths back from having no audio, and then the other half back from failed knife kills, my KDR would be fucking good.
I can't believe that they took so long to patch the knife animation. Only one at a time for like a year, but before that gets addressed. That's fucking ludicrous.
But no one seemed to fucking notice. No one seemed to understand that. Like we played. Well, you played the Smoking Knives. Yeah. We played Smoking Knives a couple rounds, and all of a sudden, after the videos hit the internet about this, all of a sudden we realized how fucking bad it was.
Yeah.
It's like, why the hell wasn't I getting those knife kills? Then you realize it.
The problem is inherent in the game, because the reason I think nobody recognized it is because the game has so many faults. As much as we love it, it does have so many problems. And the knife glitch was just another thing that we thought, oh, it's just Battlefield fucking up. It was never anybody looking into it like, oh, the game is built to only have one animation at a time. No, of course we didn't think that, because the game was so fucked up in other areas,
Right.
Like, why would we think that?
Well, exactly. Yeah. We'll get off the love-hate of Dice and EA here, and we'll move on.
Okay.
What's your opinions or thoughts on in-game battle recorders versus what you use to record your gameplay?
Depending on the options available with a battle recorder, I would almost always say I would prefer the battle recorder, because when you've got the option in-game to record your stuff, to upload it to YouTube, as far as your options for that at least gives you something in some way to put up some video or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have options, okay? As it stands now with most games, and I just read a post on Reddit to where Black Ops 2 is coming out with an option to upload, or to stream your gameplay directly into your YouTube channel.
Right.
And that's a fantastic idea. I mean, I'm sad that it comes with such a sucky game, but it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care to see Black Ops 2 streamed, but that's a great idea, and I think that's where we should be going. As we go into the future and technology progresses, I think that more people are becoming more proficient or more interested in the idea of streaming, or doing more gaming videos and everything. Like, there's there's gamers that are YouTubers that have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and that's awesome. That's a good thing for us. That only benefits us.
Exactly.
So, and it also brings in the option. There's so many skilled players out there, and there's so many people whose voices need to be heard that can't be because they can't afford to get a game recorder. You know, they don't have the technical know-how to get on YouTube or to edit video and put it together into a commentary. They don't have the money or the time to spend to do all these things. You know, the time that I spend to make a video, to cut it up, to do a commentary over it, to actually play the game, to get the footage, to buy the device to capture my gameplay, to buy the editing software. It's a lot of money, and it's a lot of time, and it's a lot of effort, and a lot of it is teach yourself type of stuff.
Right.
So I'm all for getting some help in that department. If we had a battle recorder, I think that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, there's been so many times, you know, I mean, I'm a mediocre player, I will say average at best. And I mean, there's been so many times that something just totally, you know, you play like the biggest badass ever in Battlefield, you just rack up a shitload of kills, or, you know, and you're like, oh, if I can only fucking record that.
Yeah.
You know, it's been, I've had my moments. I'm not, like I said, if anyone looks up my my stats, they'll not be impressed. But it's not having that ability. I mean, I'll you know, Call of Duty Black Ops. I played it on the PS3. When it came out, Black Ops, I had a few buddies of mine that I worked with playing it, and, you know, I mean, I had fun with it. And they had, you know, the option to, you know, go back and view your gameplay, which was kind of cool. And I'll admit, I have a video on YouTube that I made from Call of Duty. You know, it had some cool features. You know, I mean, you're limited to your editing and stuff because you're, you know, working off the PlayStation. But I mean, if Battlefield had a battle recorder, the only thing that I'm be worried about would be every Tom, Dick, and Harry flooding, you know, like Reddit posts or, you know, other gaming blogs or whatever with their links to the stupidest fucking videos imaginable. That's the only thing that I could see as a bad point. You know, there's so much good versus a little bit of bad. But I'm hoping in Battlefield 4, if I'm still, you know, in love with DICE enough to buy their product, by the time the next two expansions come out for Battlefield 3, we'll see. You know, who's to say what's going to happen? You know, before the end of next year when it's supposed to come out, Battlefield 4. But yeah, I'm hoping they include a battle recorder. Because I mean, like I said, I you know, I'm a little bit experienced in Black Ops back in the day. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then my experience, I did play Black Ops. I put maybe 30 or 40 hours into it in multiplayer, and it was mainly like a group activity. And, you know, we had fun with it, but it was mindless fun, and I recognized that. So its quality or its replayability as a game was only when I was with my group of friends.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, you know, I can understand it as a mindless, like, when I say mindless, I don't mean like people that play it are stupid. I mean, like, there's no tactics involved. It's purely you spawn, you run maybe 5-10 feet before you see somebody or you get shot. It's reaction based. It's just twitch, and then you're dead or you kill the guy, you move on, and repeat.
Right.
You know, it's purely just reaction. Doesn't matter what game mode you're playing. It all feels the same to me. I don't have to think when I'm playing Call of Duty. When I'm playing Battlefield, there's a strategic backbone to the game, you know, to where it's built with so many options and so many ways that I can approach any given situation, that it's built to think tactically or to think strategically, you know. But I think as far as the recorders go, yeah, I would absolutely love to see. I don't see any negatives in putting a recorder into your game, and so many people have asked for it too.
Exactly.
So I really, really hope they pull through with Battlefield 4.
So do I. Because, like I said, I mean, it's not saying I don't have the skill if I took a little bit of time to learn it, but I mean, it's, you know, it's an investment, and I mean, it's not that I'm, you know, looking to spend a lot of money. You know, I mean, to look at the game, I've already spent, you know, bought the game, bought premium, you know, contributed to renting a server with some of my clan mates and stuff. So, you know, I've invested some money into it. I mean, if I was like a hardcore gamer, like, you know, if I was gaming all the time, you know, and had, you know, chance of picking up followers or even, you know, even monetizing a YouTube account to a small degree, you know, I'm not looking like to make a living off something. I'm not a good enough gamer, but if I had the ability then maybe I would look at investing. But I mean, with a battle recorder, you can record your gameplay. You do some fucking crazy shit, and hey, I can stick that up on my own YouTube account and tell my buddies about it, or your clan mates, or your internet friends on Reddit or whatever blog you use, and you can have fun with it. But as to sit down and like yourself and many other guys that record on a regular basis, yeah, it's definitely an involved procedure, that's for sure.